All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wrestling with the Willies podcast. It's me and Jeremy again. We're talking about Full Gear 2022. Like most of these pay-per-views or like this stuff we're talking about a little bit later than it, just because busy trying to work around like all the stuff that's been going on with life and stuff. So we're a little bit behind. But today we're talking about Full Gear. And I think that this was better than, I think that was their best one of the year, though, but like it was still good, though.
Oh, no, it was not. I would agree. It wasn't their best one.
Because, I mean, I'm trying to think, honestly, probably Revolution probably was either that or All Out, probably was my favorite one. But I gotta remember which ones were which episode, who was fighting on which one. But what's it called? So anyway, I'm probably not going to talk about the kickoff show matches because it looks like a couple, or actually
Yeah, it looks like there
three.
were three of them. Yeah.
Yeah, there was Best Friends and with going against the Factory, and then Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, mostly because we saw it. I think it was later or something, right?
Well, yeah, we watched the replay. The replay
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
have
what
the
it was.
pre-show
Yeah.
stuff because the pre-show stuff I think is on YouTube.
Yeah.
I think.
So, and then Eddie Kingston with Ortiz going against Jun Akiyama. And oh, okay, that was just a singles match. I thought it was I thought they were saying that it was a tag team match or something at the time when they were talking. They announced it. Maybe they changed it. Oh, yeah, whatever. But anyway, shouldn't even really comment on them because we didn't really watch it. But the pay per view started with Jack or Jungle Boy going against Luchasaurus in the cage. And this was a good match. I mean, like, I thought it was cool. And Luchasaurus put over, like, Jungle Boy great. You could tell that they care about each other because he was really trying to, like, sell most of the moves that Jungle Boy did.
Yeah, and it did not surprise me at all that he
Then he
did
won.
something off the top of the
Oh,
cage.
yeah.
No, because at the beginning of the match, I said, "Oh, he's gonna do something from the top of the cage." Didn't know what he was gonna do, but I just figured he was gonna do something.
Yeah, and there's always somebody that ends up doing something off the top of the cage every time.
Well, yeah, and I knew it would be him because he typically, it's like if Darby Allin's in a match, you know, he's going to be the one to do something. Jungle Boy, same thing. If he's in a match, he's going to do something.
Yeah, it's like it's
the one that's funky, the group that's funky, is it could be any of them, is Death Triangle, because any of them can actually do wacky shit.
Yeah,
so
that's the main thing too. Is like they do so much flippy shit now. It's like hard to even say like it even does it, and like it doesn't surprise me when they do something off the steel cage. Especially it's like, oh okay, I'm gonna do a splash off the top of the cage, or like something, and you have to do something really crazy, kind of like how Ricochet did the 630 off the top of the cage. It's like stuff like that where you're just like, holy shit, I can't believe he ended up doing that shit. For me
yeah,
to
and I
be
was
like
just
really
watching a video.
surprised.
I was just watching a video on Ricochet. I'm like, why doesn't he do the double moonsault in WWE? Well, do they not allow him to do it?
I don't know. Like maybe he just took it out of his repertoire, afraid of getting hurt or something. Maybe
Maybe,
I
but
don't know.
that was a sweet move, though. I
Yeah,
watched
I
it.
think he did it in NXT a couple of times though.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, yeah, Vince McMahon kind of ruined him a little bit. But I knew it. Flippy wrestlers he doesn't really care about. But yeah, so yeah, it was nice. It was a good match. I liked some of the moves in it. Like Luchasaurus pretty much tried to beat the shit out of him at one point, but uh yeah, the right person won and looked like he almost missed the fucking elbow drop too.
Oh yeah, that's what I remember that was the thing when he did that move. It was like he almost missed.
Yeah, because
It's like he
he put
almost
him
did
on
it
a
on
tape.
purpose to where he didn't want to hurt him. So he like kind of, but he could have hurt himself a lot worse.
Oh yeah,
I
like
mean,
especially if he just landed straight and he missed him.
hmm
But I mean, that's what I'm saying is like certain things. It's like, really, do you have to do this anymore? Like, I mean, even the up and comers, just like you don't need to do anything crazy for it to get over. To a certain degree, I mean, like Will Ospreay and like Ricochet are like different breeds because they're like fucking a whole nother level. But still, it's like I don't know. Jungle Boy's been doing all right, and it seems like he doesn't do anything too crazy.
oh no, Jungle Boy does some crazy stuff, but not like Darby. Darby does that damn suicide dive. I get comments from friends of mine about that. Like he just shoots out like a cannon. It's like, and he, and one day he's gonna do that and hit his foot. I know he's done it enough, but I could just see him catching his foot and fucking himself up. But
Yeah.
anyway,
So, well. Anyway, then there was Death Triangle versus the Elite, the returning Elite, and this was one of the matches where I think I was already like I left to go get Wendy's or something, right? I think it was like either that or I was like I just missed the opening part, mostly because I saw like them coming out to the song.
yeah, and this was my favorite match.
Oh yeah, I mean like the
And
Elite do
I don't,
such
I
great
don't,
matches,
I don't,
especially with the
I
Lucha
don't.
Brothers and shit.
Yeah, I don't typically like the Elite though. I'm just not a big fan of. I don't know. The Young Bucks seem to they seem to do the same stuff all the
Yeah, it
time.
just gets annoying after a while. Yeah, I think that's the detriment to them, and that's what I think is like with a lot of like wrestlers is that they get too comfortable doing the same moves. Like
Yeah,
I
and
know that like some people come to see that shit, but it's like okay. And final, oh well, I mean, I don't think we're gonna cover it anyway, but like
well, we
final,
talk about it with Roman. That's kind of what the way I feel about the Young Bucks. Like if you watch a Young Bucks match, you're gonna see certain things all the time.
well, I mean, did you see like the what happened with Claudio and uh Jericho though? This is most like because we didn't watch it, but like I watched what happened afterwards on Final Battle. But like how he did the finish.
No, I didn't. But
Okay, so
maybe we'll watch that still. I don't know.
oh, I don't know, but like what's it called? Anyway, so like it was just a shocker because he beat him with the big swing. So he spun him
Oh
like
yeah, I
30
did see
fucking
that. Yeah,
times
where
and
he,
then
yeah,
tapped.
where, yeah,
And
yeah.
some people were like talking about that it was bullshit. And I was like, dude, I think that works. I mean, like everybody pops for that move whenever he does it. It's like it would make sense if he would make somebody submit off of it once.
Well, I never understood why it isn't considered a submission, like why they never played it that way. Because literally, people get dizzy and shit doing that. It's like, well, you could easily just say, I'm sick." I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
they want to
Pretty
tap
much if
because
you want,
they're.
and if you really wanted to tell it like something, like say like doctor stoppage or something, because he actually legit like fake pukes in the ring or something. I mean, it
Well,
would gross
that's what I
people
mean.
out, but I mean, it'd
I'm
make it
always
seem more
surprised.
legitimate.
Well, I'm always surprised that none of those guys get dizzy. Even Claudio. I mean, when he was doing it in WWE, it was the same thing. It was like it must train like the skaters do because when skaters do the spins, they're trained to like look at one thing as they're spinning, and they don't change their. And it's got to be the same thing that Claudio does. But I'm always because the other thing you always notice too is they always put their hands out a certain way when they're doing the spins. So it must be a way to like offset the
Like
dizziness
dizziness
or
or
something.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and that's the only reason why I say that is like the elite. it does stuff like Roman, where they do the same thing, like they go back and forth, and like it's not anything like fresh and new, like especially if they beat somebody. Like it was nice knowing that the whole time they did with the Death Triangle, where like it was a perfect finish, even though that I don't think it needs to be a best of seven like afterwards, which they
Well,
announced.
well,
But like,
that was the confusing part to me, and I can say the storytelling in this match and going forward with this match was great because going into this match, Pac kept trying to get Ray Phoenix to use the hammer, and he wouldn't, and the payoff was in this one he had to use it to beat them, and but then it was like I don't know if they decided on the fly, like, we need to have more matches between the two of them because of how well this one went. But it was like, when I remember when this one happened, like, not too long afterwards, they announced the fact that it was going to be a best of seven for the title. I'm like, wait, that wasn't even mentioned before. Like, you would think that would have been something mentioned going into the match. Like, that was
yeah, it
match
seemed like
one
it
of
was
the,
impromptu, like really,
yeah. And
or like and that he had an idea about it, but then they were like, "Oh yeah, let's do a best of seven. It gives them something to do."
And
But
best
like
of
both at the
seven
same
is a
time.
lot. I hope that it doesn't go seven
Well, I mean,
because,
the main thing is best of seven, and then trying to explain it like doing something fresh in each match where it doesn't get boring.
well, that's what I mean, because seven matches of the same people. We talk about that in WWE where it's like, it's going to get boring. If it's like every month you're seeing, or every week you're seeing the same match over and over again.
Yeah,
I
but
think
like,
seven was too many. It should have been best of five, maybe.
yeah,
Um,
like it kind of reminds me of Cesaro and Sheamus when they were doing their best of seven thing, like a few years back before they started doing the bar stuff.
but
But
I like this version of Pac,
yeah,
or Neville
I
or
mean,
whatever you
like I
want to
think
call him.
Neville or Pack or whatever, like he's been like this. Even if he's a good guy, he still kind of does the bastard shit where he still cheats, he still does certain things, and it still works for his character.
Oh,
You
I'm
know?
just saying, compared to his Neville character, they should have done this
Yeah,
character in
like I think
WWE.
they fucked up. Like Vince McMahon fucked up when they put him in with the 205 Live shit, and then had him be the king of the cruiserweights, and then they didn't do anything after he lost the title. They should have just like he could have done the bastard shit and did it against regular fucking whoever. I mean, it would have
Hmm.
been a little bit tougher to do it against fucking Braun, but like I'm sure that if they would have given him the chance, he probably would have.
And that's why I like Death Triangle too, because their matches, they do different shit all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
especially like freaking. I mean, I've been a fan of Penta like for a while, like ever since I saw him in Lucha Underground.
it was
When
funny because I remember, I think he was, when we went to WrestleMania in Orlando, I think he was at WrestleCon, or there was
yeah,
a thing
yeah, I
at
think him and
WrestleCon where,
Phoenix were there.
but I don't think their names were the same then. I think it was
Yeah,
like
and like
Pentagon or
it was
something like that.
Pentagon because that's when they were still in Lucha Underground. So there was Mil Muertes, which I think he still goes by the same name, but then there was Pentagon. But at one point they changed it to Pentagon Dark because it was kind of like you think about wrestling now is like more Lucha Underground was more of a soap opera. Like they really turned up the soap opera element to 11. Like they told like everybody had a different story. Like he had stuff with the Vampiro where Vampiro trained him, and then eventually he turned him as a dark version to like break people's arms and shit. And that's when I was like, oh, really big fan of like Pentagon because I was like he would just show up, break somebody's arm, and then they would be off of TV for like a couple months. And they wouldn't explain like, oh, they healed the arm or whatever. But like anytime, whenever they had to tell out somebody like being gone, they were like, oh, Pentagon comes in and breaks their arm. So he still does it like in the ring to this day. But I'm filming or whatever. Yeah, yeah. Don't mind it. Like that was my brother Aaron. I mean, we'll
Would he
probably
come
have
in
to edit
asking
that
you
out.
something?
Yeah, he was asking about a muffin because yeah, Crystal brought home some muffins. So whatever, we'll just edit that part out or whatever.
Or we'll just leave it in. Who cares? I mean,
Yeah, whatever.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I'll look at it when I'm doing the edit. But anyways, we can
But
pause for a
what's it
second though.
called? So anyway, where was I going? Oh, anyway, so I've been a fan of him, and then Phoenix was in there too. I think they did a lot of matches against each other too when they were in Lucha Underground. But same with Brian Cage. Brian Cage was there, and Helico was there. Jack Evans was there. So most of the AEW guys that are in there now pretty much were in Lucha Underground. That's how they got their start. Like Prince Puma was Ricochet in there, so like that's kind of like how he kind of got huge at one point was he was doing stuff in Lucha Underground as Prince Puma, and then I'm trying to think. So they all had like different names and stuff. And some of them had the same names, but then they would do like different character stuff. But like that's a so anyway, I've been a fan of like them for a while now, so it's nice knowing that they do the freaking the same moves, but then they're super different. Especially Ray Phoenix does shit that no one else does, like running the rings like the ropes as fast as he does, and then like he's so fucking limber on the damn ropes, and then they do the destroyers like all the fucking time. And they come out of fucking nowhere. That's the only thing is like the elite ain't so much like that.
No, they're not. That's why I said they do a lot of that super kick crap. So
Which
it
gets
kind of
boring at
reminds me
one point, yeah.
of the Usos, kind
Yeah.
of.
The only thing
Um,
is that they made the super kick party like part of their fucking thing, so it makes sense now.
well,
Some,
yeah, it makes
but like
sense for
still, it
them, but
gets kind of boring though.
it
Like
does when
even
it's
the
every
BT
match. Yeah.
trigger, I like that move. Like it was funny. I made a comment because I guess somebody in NXT ripped off the V trigger from Kenny, and then I commented. I was like, dude, at least you sell the fucking thing because like you see it and it looked like he was just like not wanting to hurt the guy. I was like, dude, at least Kenny goes in there and tries like being like a maniac and trying to destroy your head. Like, like that's the one thing I love about the V trigger. If he sells that motherfucker like he's trying to kick your head off. That's one of the reasons why I like that move so much from him. But like some of these other guys can't fucking do it, so you shouldn't even do the move. So anyway, and now we might as well talk about the funniest damn moment of the pay per view, or one of the funniest moments.
Well, when Jade Cargill came out with her body paint,
Yeah, so pretty much, like I remember it was a couple of weeks before Full Gear, she was talking about ideas for new ring gear for Full Gear. I'm assuming. So she was asking, somebody was like, She-Ra from, I think that was the name, from like Thundercats. So she was like, oh, okay. So she goes to do it. And then she comes up with the idea to paint the bottom part of her legs. And she's like in a unitard with a thong instead of like having just underwear, like where it just covers it. She decided to wear a thong, and it was like all ass. That's all I saw. Like when she came out, I was like, oh, she looks cool. But like every moment during this match, and like we've talked about, like that Jade Cargill needs to get better in the ring. Like I like her character and stuff like that, but like she needs to get better in the ring. And I think
she
that with
definitely should not be 41 and 0 or whatever it is right
yeah,
now.
like she's 41-0, and she keeps on getting in these matches. Like Nyla Rose is the best, the best person to go against at the time, right? So to put her over, really, and then oh, but once again, so the best person to put her over at the moment, but they keep doing like Roman matches with her, where she does all this shit and then she does one finisher and then pins her or
Well,
whatever.
and the
Like
different
Nyla Rose
well,
beat her up for a good while, and all I could focus on was Jade Cargill's ass or titties the whole damn time because her damn suit was so wedged so far up her ass that you could see her thong out and looked like her
well, and
boobs
then
almost fell out of her
well,
shirt.
yeah, yeah, and then the paint was rubbing off. So like on her butt, you could tell. At first, it was a conversation we were having whether or not it was leggings she was wearing or if she painted her skin. But then as the match went on, you could tell it was paint because the paint was rubbing off. So then she had two spots on her butt where you could tell the paint had rubbed off, and she had paint all over the place that had rubbed off. So it just wasn't a good solution. I'm surprised they went that way with doing it, but they did it with the Hulk. I think she did Hulk in the last pay-per-view, or She-Hulk,
Well, yeah,
and they
but
did
I
the
don't
same
remember
thing.
her doing it with her pants or like her legs or whatever. But I mean,
Well,
still,
yeah, I don't recall if if she painted her legs. I know she painted her arms though.
well,
I
I'm
remember
just saying,
that,
like
and her
she
face. But
and she didn't have like a for real like thong. It was like close, but
well, what
like
I'm getting at with this match was the fact that it was Jade's matches are like Roman matches, except they only go like 8 minutes. At least Roman's matches go like 25 minutes every
even though
time he
that
does it.
I get so bored of those matches, like so
No,
bored.
no, no. We've talked about it. Roman matches are the same, but the result is the same. Like Jade's are 8 minutes. Like this one was 8 minutes long, and it was basically Jade kind of got her ass whooped for most of those 8 minutes, and then at the end she hits one move. I think she hit it twice,
Yeah,
the
Nyla
same
Rose
move or
put her in
something.
her own finisher, put her in her finisher to pin her, and then she bounced out. But then she beat her with her finisher afterwards. Jaded, I
Yeah,
think
I
is
think this
what
was.
it's called.
Yeah, I think this was one of the best storylines going into the pay per view because I liked the TBS champion in quotation marks for Nyla Rose because she stole the title. I thought that was funny. But then the payoff afterwards with the whole I don't know what the hell this Jade Cargill thing with Bow Wow is. I
And she was
I know they
talking on
beefed on
Twitter.
Twitter or something,
Yeah, they were
but they're
talking shit on
bringing it.
Twitter. Like he was talking about he wanted to fuck. Like he was thirsty for her. Now it seems like they're trying to make like a fucking wrestling match or some shit. Where it sounded like he was thirsty as fuck to hang out.
Okay.
That's what I took
Well,
from it.
yeah,
And then
but
she
they
showed up
brought
at one of
they
his signings or some shit.
but they brought it onto TV. I mean, where now he's saying I'm done with music or something, or I can't remember exactly what he said, but I don't get it.
Well, I
I
mean, he's only done one damn song like that made him any. Never mind.
I
I
just don't
shouldn't
get
even.
yeah,
I'm
I
totally
just
shit
don't
on
get the
Bow Wow.
yeah, I just don't get the point. Anyways,
Yeah,
we can
I
move
don't
on
really
from
get
that
it
eight
either,
minute
but it's
match because
probably because they're like, it's a famous name. Let's make, like how they had like Action Bronson and shit on there. Like they just were having like other people on there just for like, I don't know, clout or whatever the fuck. Like just to have them on. So whatever, decent match. I mean, probably one of the better matches that she did, but I mean, pretty much she got her ass whooped. You could tell she got her
well,
ass whooped.
she was
All
carried
except for
for
when
the
she,
8 minutes.
she was carried through the match, though. You could tell. But, yeah, so, and then, okay, so even though they made up for this anyway, um, later, like that I mentioned at Final Battle. But and then there was Chris Jericho versus Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, Claudio, and Sammy Guevara. And this match was good. I mean, like I liked it, but also at the same time, does Chris Jericho need to win? They are very high up on Chris Jericho. They keep on like
Yeah,
fucking.
Jericho doesn't need to have a title. I mean,
Yeah, like
he could just be
he
a
literally
figurehead
could
on
just get into
TV.
regular feuds with people.
I honestly don't even know if Chris Jericho even has to wrestle anymore at this point. He could just be a talker for the Jericho Appreciation Society, and everybody wrestles for him. That's what I think the best gimmick for him would be. Honestly, is that he's like a manager of a group where everybody worships his ass. I think that would be hilarious. And then you could have people turn on him, and then he could wrestle a match because he doesn't want people to leave his fucking group.
I
That's you
literally
know.
thought that Daniel Garcia should have left, though. Honestly,
Oh, I thought he would. That's where it seemed
like
like they were
I knew
going,
that they
but
were
then they
heading
changed
to
it.
like him doing the turn on Brian Danielson, but he should have left. I mean, like it would have made perfect sense for it, but like. Yeah, the match was good for what it was. I mean, it was 21 minutes, and it was just all four men that are all great wrestlers telling a story, but I just don't think that he should have won. It would have been nice to see Daniel Bryan win. It would have been nice to have Claudio win it back, which turns out that he won it back like a month later. But like, yeah, it
I
was
would
just
have
like,
to say I don't understand. Well, the one thing at this point I don't get is why Bryan Danielson went to AEW.
well, it seemed like he just wanted to be wrestling with other people. It seemed like,
But he's like losing all the time. He doesn't win. They're jobbing him out most of the time, and I'm like, I don't know if he's not doing much different than he was doing in WWE. I mean, so it's like I don't get the point of him leaving at this point because it doesn't seem like the
well, I mean, it makes
right
sense
thing.
with
But
certain people, but yeah, it doesn't really make sense with him at the moment. Like, what's it called? It makes
well,
sense with
Miro's the
Sarah.
same way.
No, now that we're talking about this, like definitely Miro could go back eventually. Like they haven't really done anything with Miro in a while, but I don't know if it's because of his own thing or if it's AEW doing it or what.
Well, I had heard the last piece was that he didn't like the last creative option they were giving him, so he rejected that. But still, it's like the Redeemer shit was brilliant. I mean, and if I was WWE, whenever his contract comes up, they could pull that. And because there's another person on here, and I'll talk about it in a second, that I think AEW is trying to make sure that that person doesn't leave. But
Oh yeah,
anyway,
like what's it called? Like it was like with
but Soraya,
Soraya. Yeah,
you could
Soraya
tell
and
that
Britt
match. You
Baker.
could tell that. Yeah, you could tell she's got ring rust. You could tell this was her first match in like years. It still wasn't bad though, considering how long she hasn't wrestled. I mean, people are giving her a lot of shit, but I'm like, she hasn't probably been in the ring in however many years it's
Yeah,
been.
it's like 6 or 7 years or something like that. She has it, like, and she didn't like lose that much. You could tell that there was ring rust, but like, she didn't lose that much of a step. And I was surprised that she was doing some moves that she was doing in this match. And I think that like some people are worried about her safety and stuff like that, but like the same thing goes with Daniel Bryan and Sheamus and all the other fucking dudes that have been wrestling now, like that had neck issues of like Edge and stuff like that.
It's actually been 4 years, but at the same time, I didn't realize it had been that long since she wrestled last. It was 2018, but still, I mean, CM Punk, to me, looked worse when he returned.
Yeah. Well, I
So,
mean, he was
but I
gone
mean,
for even longer, but I
but
mean,
it, but
still.
it helps that she's only 30 at this point. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Like and the match was good. I mean, like, and the person that won should have won anyway. Like Britt Baker, you knew that like Britt Baker was going to lose, and it made
yeah,
sense for her to lose.
I'm interested to see who her mystery partner is gonna be, though. I the
Oh,
rumor
was
is
she?
it's Sasha.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
because
Well, I mean, I heard
she's
that.
facing Britt Baker and at Winter is Coming in January. I don't think
Oh,
she's
so it's
facing
Hayter and Britt
her.
Baker then?
I think so, but Soraya has a mystery partner.
Yeah. So I
So
mean, like it
it's
could be
you know
anybody. I mean, like I heard that she signed a deal with New Japan too. But I mean, that goes for like whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter about the situation. It seems like Trinity might be going to AEW too, with the way that she's been hanging out with Jade Cargill too. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Like so,
Trent has more ties to WWE than Sasha does. I mean, because of Jimmy. That's the only thing I think. I mean, you could hang out with other wrestlers all you want. I think that like Alexa Bliss has been seen with AEW wrestlers. I think them and MJF were hanging out at one point or something. So I mean, you would think that they would hang out as just wrestling people. I mean, they're all in the same profession. Who cares who you work
yeah,
for? I
yeah,
mean, we're not in
that's
that.
the
We're not in
thing.
that. We're not in that
Everybody make
kayfabe.
money.
We're not as much in
Everybody
kayfabe
make money.
anymore.
But
But yeah, there wasn't
so
much
yeah,
to the Soraya match to me. I mean, it was a match. You could tell there was ring rust. Soraya should have won. She did. I mean, and it's set up for
yeah,
stuff
and then
going forward.
of course, the so pretty much yeah, like everything worked out with that one. But it was like, especially this match, this upcoming one, you could tell that they're probably trying to protect Samoa Joe to keep him from leaving because
Oh,
you know that
that's
Trips
exactly what
is
they're doing.
high. Trips is
Because
high on
William Regal,
Samoa.
especially with the William Regal move. That's with Regal leaving. I guarantee you, Triple H talked to Samoa because Samoa always was liked by Triple H. I mean, Triple H brought him back after Vince fired him the first time.
Well, I
So,
mean, obviously they cared about him because they already gave him 2 championships now. They're like, hey, make this dude super happy. And this was one of the matches
well,
that
the
I
funny
kind
thing
of
is,
missed, but then I rewatched it again afterwards. And I mean, it was just a Hoss match. And so, like,
yeah,
yeah, I
that's
mean, it
all.
wasn't like anything. And then I just thought it was funny with how the finish went, essentially. But I mean, like, it made sense. It made something good for Wardlow. And it looked like Wardlow was talking about coming back after a Dynamite or something because
Well,
he was
yeah,
off for like a week or so.
yeah, the Triple H or triple threat matches, Triple H, the triple threat matches always make you can always make somebody seem strong because you don't have to go over on them. So if you want to keep somebody strong, triple threat matches are easy ways of doing that because you can just have them, um, you know, pin somebody else or whatnot. But you know, but so that's why I said when we were watching it, it had to have been something related to making that dude happy. Why you would put two titles on the guy?
Yeah. Like, there was so many matches on this fucking card, too. Like, just
The next
looking at
match, I
them
could tell
now,
you,
it's like,
I don't remember paying much attention to this one.
dude, I don't think it was really worth it. I mean, I was watching it, I was like, man, fuck, I didn't really care about it. As Sting and Darby Allin, and then like Sanjay Dutt with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Fuck Jared and Jeff Jarrett. I don't really care to ever watch him wrestle ever again. But I'm not saying that he's a bad guy or whatever, but like, really, you shouldn't hire Jeff Jarrett to go into your company, knowing that he fucked up TNA and shit like that, and then like he fucked up Global Force Wrestling. I think was his other one that he tried on. But
Well, that's my
what's he
thing. I
going?
mean, they these companies bring him in, right, where he did that shit, but yet, like Vince Russo, you don't see him being hired by anybody because of what he did to WCW or what they perceived that he did to WCW, right? But he basically did
Well, I
the
mean,
same fucking thing.
they hired him at TNA a bunch of times, but they got to the point where they were like, "Don't hire Vince Russo to do shit," and then he was like, and then they hired him anyway, and then pretty much lost their damn TNA their deal that was on Spike because of it. It was because they told him not to do it, and then they found out months later that he was still doing it.
But that's my
So,
point. I mean, they perceived that he's the one that fucked WCW up, and I don't think he was. I think it
nope,
was more
Dixie
Hulk Hogan.
Carter was one of the main
And
reasons why. Dixie
yeah,
Carter fucked that shit up because I mean you see it differently now. It's like it's run by Scott D'Amore and fuck, I forgot the other dude. The other
it's
dude
the
that
Smashing Pumpkins
helps.
guy, right?
No, Billy Corgan was gonna buy it, but then he bought
Oh, he didn't.
NWA.
Oh,
Supposedly he was
oh,
gonna
that's
buy
right.
it, and
Yeah.
then something got fucked up. Dixie fucked something up, and then so he didn't buy it. So like that was like the main thing. So like that's the last thing that I read. And then he bought out NWA. I mean, NWA was already kind of dying anyway, but like now it seems like
My
it's definitely having issues because they got Nick Aldis out and I was like, that's like the one major guy that was keeping that fucking promotion grounded, like somewhere, you know.
The next match was my second favorite match of the night. And one thing I am shocked by, and I've been watching this back, Jamie Hayter has been getting crowd cheers for a while.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, she's a really
they
good
need to,
wrestler.
no, but they need to turn her face instead of her being aligned with Britt. I mean, the way the crowd reacts to her, they would pop heavy if she turned on Britt.
Well,
Because they're popping on her now.
I'm wondering if they're gonna be doing it where she's gonna be going against Britt at the next pay per view or not. I
Well,
mean, they
she hasn't
might.
turned on her yet, though. I
Yeah.
mean,
No, I'm
it's.
just saying, like, if they're gonna do it, they should do it when she's the champion. Either
Oh, I
that
agree.
or like
Yeah.
she does something where she screws her out of the championship and then turns her face or something like that. Because I'm surprised that they didn't turn her face already.
Well, yeah, because they could
But
have
I mean,
done it
this match was damn good, though.
when, yeah, it was when Britt tried to pin her during that match.
Yeah,
I
they
mean, they
did.
could have done
Like,
it then,
good
and they could have
God, they
done. Yeah,
made
I
her
mean, they're.
do so much shit to put out Tony Storm.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well,
why I was
then
like, at one point, I didn't
right
think she
after
was
this,
actually gonna
it was
win.
still. Well, and right after this, it was still called the interim AE Women's World Championship. Right after this, I guess Thunder Rosa relinquished it. So now she's the actual Women's World Champion. And then they turned around and said Toni Storm was not an interim champ during her reign, that she was an actual champion too.
Which wonder what the fuck they were doing with Thunder Rosa, man. I
Well,
think
I
they
still don't
screwed
know
the
what they're
pooch with
doing with
her.
her. It's like I don't get. I don't know if she's upset. I've heard she's hurt, but they think she's like mooching the injury or something. I don't know. Like she's hurt, but she's not hurt as bad as she's putting off. So they're not happy about it or something. I don't know.
I don't know. It seems very weird.
But again, they messed her up to begin with. I was shocked because she was the reason that Britt Baker match, and I said it in previous podcasts, that when Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker went against each other, Britt got a lot of the credit for that, but it was Thunder Rosa that put that match on the map. Britt Baker just promoted it better afterwards.
Yep. So, yeah, good for Jamie Hayter winning the belt, though. And then, of course, the next one, the claim for Swerve and a Glory, which I thought they were going to tell, like, Swerve actually turning on him, which it went a little bit later, it seems like. But, like, this one wasn't nearly as good as their previous one, where Swerve and a
Yeah, it
Glory
wasn't.
won.
It
But
wasn't. I
still, it
mean,
was
that
good.
their previous one, I think I said it on a previous podcast, was the match of the year to me.
Yeah. Even with
And
them losing and all that shit. Yeah.
yeah, and I think this one, problem is this is the third one. This was the third one, and I'm getting bored with it.
Yeah. Which hopefully they don't do it again. And then I don't know. I would think that the best people that would go against them right now is the Gun Club, though, or the Ass Boys, I should say.
Well, I don't know, because they were feuding with FTR the last thing that I saw, but it looks like FTR's almost like done.
Well, that's what it sounded like after Final Battle. But I mean, I don't know if that like Trips talked to them too, or what. I don't know about any of this situation. I mean, the way
It's
that
just
it's
funny
to me,
because
it's so crazy right now.
all these contracts are coming up, and it's like it's throwing shit into the fire because of
Yeah,
just
it's
the
like
regime
throwing
change.
crazy shit to happen, and that's one thing that I love about it going on right now. It's like so much crazy shit could happen at any moment now. So I'm just intrigued with what's going to happen. So yeah, and then so yeah, it just was nice for the Acclaimed anyway. Especially they keep on like doing the rapping and stuff, and now it's like completely over for them. And then the scissoring shit is fucking gold. I even got people to scissor me at work too. They're like, that sounds dirty. I'm like, yeah, Anthony Bowen said that it's not dirty. It's just a friendly handshake. If you think it's dirty, you're the pervert. That's literally what he was like saying. So I'm like, scissor me, daddy ass. And they're like, no, I don't want to. Like, just scissor me. So yeah. And then, of course, okay, this is my problem. Might as well, now that we're talking about the main event, right? So, you know how we were talking about that it was a fucking probably work, the whole situation, blah, blah, blah. Turns out that I think he legitimately, like, he was like, I'm going to take my ball and go home. Hopefully you fire me, blah, blah, blah. Tony Khan offered him more money and a lot more money probably for him to stay. And then this bidding war of 2024 bullshit. I think MJF has been doing his best promos to date, literally, mostly because I think it's like talking about real shit, but like, I think he's just too cocky for himself. Like, he knows like how good he is on the mic, right? Not so much in the ring, because I mean, this match was like okay. Like, I liked how they built up the whole thing somewhat,
Well, yeah,
but
in
like,
this match, you can
it was
tell
okay.
that he wasn't. Yeah, and I've said it in the past. John Moxley, I'm not a fan of, and he's not a wrestler you can sit in the ring with and be put over. See, that's the difference with CM Punk. At least he may not be as good of a wrestler now, but his matches with MJF were a hell of a lot better than this match was with MJF because Moxley was his opponent. Moxley, he does the same stuff. He's just really weird in the ring for me. But MJF isn't very good in the ring. I will continue to say that. He's okay. His promo skills are the best out there, though. The dude is the best by far on the mic. I don't like giving credit for people that I don't really care for all that much, but at the same time, I don't know if there's one promo that I have listened to of his that I haven't liked.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's what I'm
there's a
saying.
lot
The
of them. They'll
past
have a
couple of
really
them
good
have been good.
promo here and there, but MJF, I don't know. You can tell it's got to be coming from a real place. A lot of his stuff because it just comes off so effortlessly. So it would tell me that it's coming from his honest opinions of things. Which, if most wrestlers did that, they would probably get over. And
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like he literally said, like, he was like, "Oh, I didn't really need the money," because I mean, he was still telling the story like that, knowing that he's still rich, but he's like, "You need to pay me. Like, you should pay me. Like, you should do your fucking job, and then if he offers you more money, to do it for more money, but you shouldn't be signing a contract that's like 6 years in the future." And then not expect to be paid more. You know, like, you shouldn't be
well, and
arguing with somebody telling them to
yeah,
fire
and
you.
that's what I say about a lot of athletes, right? Is like you can't bitch about a contract you signed 2 years ago because you're better now. Well, you signed the contract. If I was the company, I'd be like, "Fuck you. you can walk out your contract at the end. If you don't like it, we can negotiate when this contract's over. Maybe you shouldn't have signed a 4-year contract then. I mean, but I wouldn't give them more money. They're being real nice in doing that. I mean, the fact that Tony Khan, I think he's done it twice now for MJF. I mean, you know, you're giving credit where credit's due in some respect, but at the same time, if they went out on TV and said something like that, I would not reward them for doing it. Same thing if it wasn't a work and he decided not to show up at the meet and greet that he's contractually obligated to be at. That would cause a problem for me too, regardless of how good you are. We got to put these guys, and I say it about NBA guys and shit like that too. We baby these fuckers. No, if they've got a contract, they adhere to what I want them to do, and if they don't, well, they don't get paid. It's like they need to start doing that with contracts. All these contracts are guaranteed, but it's like, well, what if they just say, oh, I'm just not going to play today. I'm hurt. It's like, well, sorry, dude. If you're really not hurt, you're going to play. Anyways. So, but we knew going into this match that the way they played it up, MJF was going to win it. Now, and I also knew, based on rumors I had heard, William Regal was probably going to help him. And they played that storyline to actually with that, with him going away, William Regal leaving, which is the talk that he's done with AEW. The way they went about it on Dynamite the following week was brilliant.
Yeah,
when MJF turned on him,
and then he talked about the email and stuff, and then it was like, your future endeavored and shit, and like literally mocking the email that he sent him like from years prior. I was like, I like that part. That's what I'm saying. That part of him, I'm cool with. But like the shit where it's like you sign a contract and you're lucky that this motherfucker gives you money, and then you freak out on TV, and it's like, oh, okay, the next time somebody doesn't pay you what you think you're worth, you're just gonna fucking talk shit. And then,
and that's why.
so then
And he
on
kind of
top
did
of
it
it,
in the media scrum afterwards. He kind
yeah,
of kept going on top of that. So
yeah, and then he
I
did
just don't.
shit. He did shit too afterwards, where he was talking about he made the Big Burberry belt now, where they
Yeah, he
actually
changed
made
the
them a
belt, so
custom
now it's got.
belt.
Yeah.
And I was just like, good lord, man. Really? Like, it would have been nice to see, like, kind of like a face-ish version of MJF. But of course, got to turn him heel. Hopefully, Ricky Starks won the Dynamite ring off of him, though. I think that would help out. Because if he's using the brass knuckles, he don't need the Dynamite diamond ring anymore, though.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it, right? I mean, for the full gear. So our next podcast for wrestling with the Willies will be what, Survivor Series? Yeah. So we'll probably be doing that and releasing that in a few days to catch up.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah, check
what's
out
it
all
called?
our other
So
podcasts too
yeah,
on
check
our
out our
website. And
website, all of our other podcasts and stuff. We just did one on Resident Evil, the final chapter, on what's it called? On
Sci-Fi Graveyard. Yeah.
Sci-Fi Graveyard. Yeah, I spaced for a second there. But yeah, like and we're doing more game reviews and music reviews and all sorts of stuff on the website and YouTube and all that stuff. So thank you for joining.
Have a good one. We'll see you in the next episode.